before time was counted and before human history took its first breath, Scripture invites us to imagine a reality far older and far more mysterious than the world we know. A realm where order and purpose flowed directly from the presence of God, where creation moved in harmony, and where every being knew its place within a divine design. It is here, in this hidden beginning, that the story of Satan truly starts, not as a horned caricature or a symbol of chaos alone, but as a radiant being of immense authority and beauty, a guardian, a light bearer, a servant of heaven entrusted with responsibility and freedom. And yet, somewhere within that freedom, a fracture formed, a question rose, a desire to rule rather than serve took root. What followed was not merely rebellion, but a turning point that would shape the destiny of creation itself. But here is the question that unsettles many and draws others closer in awe. If God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and perfectly just, why was Satan allowed to fall at all? And more profoundly, what role does Satan play now within God's greater plan? We are not entering a tale of fear, but a story of purpose, a story that stretches from the courts of heaven to the final pages of prophecy. A story that reveals not chaos, but design. Before we continue, if you appreciate conversations that approach big questions with calm reflection, historical depth, and intellectual honesty, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. This space exists for those who are curious, thoughtful, and willing to explore faith and philosophy without fear or pressure. Your presence here truly matters, and I'm grateful to have you along for this journey. Thank you for taking this journey. May it leave you thoughtful, curious, and open to the depth and beauty of the questions that never go away. Now, let us step back to the beginning, where light and rebellion first crossed paths. The Bible never offers a single simple biography of Satan. Instead, his story is woven through poetic passages, prophetic visions, and symbolic language. Two of the most influential texts are found in Ezekiel and Isaiah, where descriptions of a proud ruler cast down from greatness appear to point beyond human kings toward a deeper spiritual reality. In these passages, we encounter a being described in terms of beauty, wisdom, and exalted status. He is portrayed as one who walked among the stones of fire, adorned with splendor, and positioned close to the presence of God. Yet this exaltation became the seed of his undoing. Pride entered, and with it the desire to ascend above the role assigned to him. This fall was not forced, it was chosen, and that choice reveals something essential about God's design. Love and loyalty, to be genuine, must be freely given. A universe without the possibility of rebellion would also be a universe without meaningful obedience. One of the most difficult questions in theology is not why Satan rebelled, but why God allowed it. Scripture suggests that God's plan has always been larger than immediate perfection. It is a plan that unfolds over time, revealing truth, character, and justice through contrast. Satan's rebellion did not catch God by surprise. Rather, it became part of a broader narrative in which God's righteousness would be displayed not through force alone, but through patience, truth, and ultimate restoration. By allowing rebellion to exist temporarily, God reveals the consequences of pride and self-exaltation without compromising his own holiness. In this sense, Satan becomes an unwilling participant in a divine demonstration. His actions expose the nature of sin, making its end inevitable and its judgment just. From the earliest chapters of Genesis, Satan appears not as a chaotic destroyer, but as a deceiver. He questions God's words, reframes truth, and appeals to human desire for autonomy. The serpent in the garden does not force humanity to fall. He persuades. This pattern continues throughout Scripture. Satan tempts, accuses, and opposes, yet always within limits. The book of Job offers a striking example, portraying Satan as an accuser who must answer to God and cannot act beyond what is permitted. This portrayal challenges simplistic views of evil. Satan is not God's equal nor an independent power. He operates within boundaries set by divine authority. Even his accusations become opportunities for faith to be tested and refined. The life, death, and resurrection of Jesus mark a decisive shift in the story. What appeared to be Satan's greatest victory became the moment of his deepest defeat. Through the cross, the power of accusation was broken, and the authority of death was challenged. Christian theology teaches that Satan's power rests largely in deception and fear. When Christ willingly faced death and emerged victorious, the ultimate weapon of the adversary was exposed as temporary. Redemption replaced condemnation. Grace dismantled the narrative of despair. This does not mean Satan's influence vanished instantly. Scripture describes a period in which he continues to operate, knowing his time is limited. His role shifts from instigator to defeated adversary, awaiting final judgment. Why then does Satan still exist? The answer lies in the nature of God's justice and mercy. Judgment, when it comes, will be complete and unquestionable. Every choice, every allegiance, and every truth will stand revealed. In the meantime, humanity lives in a world where faith is meaningful because it is chosen. Love is genuine because it is tested. Obedience matters because alternatives exist. Satan's continued presence serves as a contrast, highlighting the difference between self-centered power and self-giving love. In opposing God, he inadvertently underscores the beauty of God's character. The Bible does not end in uncertainty. Prophetic writings, particularly in Revelation, describe a future where Satan's influence comes to a definitive end. Evil is judged, deception ceases, creation is restored. This final act is not rushed, nor is it fueled by vengeance. It is the culmination of a long story in which truth has been given every opportunity to reveal itself fully. When judgment arrives, it will not silence questions. It will answer them. God's plan from beginning to end is not centered on Satan. It is centered on redemption. Satan's story exists only as a shadow within a far greater narrative of restoration and hope. Understanding God's plan for Satan is not an exercise in fear or fascination with darkness. It is an invitation to trust a God whose sovereignty is not threatened by rebellion and whose patience serves a greater purpose. It reminds us that evil is real but not ultimate, that struggle exists but not without meaning, and that the presence of opposition does not imply the absence of control. Every choice toward truth, humility, and love participates in the unfolding victory already promised. The untold story of Satan is not about glorifying an enemy, but about revealing a God who remains unshaken in the face of rebellion, a God who transforms even opposition into a canvas for justice, mercy, and grace. When we see the story whole, fear gives way to understanding, mystery gives way to trust, and the long struggle between light and darkness resolves not in chaos but in peace. If this exploration inspired your curiosity and deepened your appreciation for sacred history, please consider supporting our channel by subscribing and sharing this video with others who seek meaningful spiritual knowledge. Thank you for taking this journey. May it deepen your confidence in a God whose plans are vast, whose patience is purposeful, and whose final word is not judgment alone, but restoration